Welcome back to the channel, guys. So after 15 months of continuous travel around the globe, you're bound to find some pretty interesting and unique airports, right? Well, that's what we're gonna tell you about today. So the bottom line is that we think, number one, the Jewel in Singapore is totally worth your time, worth visiting, whether in transit, a layover, or if you're actually going to visit Singapore. Number two, the Lukla airport in the Himalayas of Nepal is super, shall we say, anxiety inducing. And the third honorable mention for this video is going to be the airport in Bora Bora in French Polynesia for a very specific reason. So first up, let's talk about the Jewel in Singapore. So Singapore is kind of leading the way when it comes to deciding that airports don't have to be just terminals and luggage and the airplanes and the random Starbucks that happens to be in the airport with you. It can be so much more, and the Jewel is exactly that. It is a nature-themed entertainment and retail complex. There's over 300 different stores and restaurants and movie theaters and just so many cool things to do there. It is truly impressive. So the Jewel has gardens throughout. That is the theme, after all. It is nature themed. And it's 10 stories total, 5 stories tall, and there's actually 5 stories below ground as well. On the top level, they've even put in a canopy park right next to their craft breweries, because every airport should have craft breweries, right? Let's take a look. When our flight landed at the Jewel, we headed straight to the IMAX theater and watched The Avengers, which we thought was really cool because we were hoping we'd get to see it while we were overseas, but we did not think that it would be in an airport, so that just shows you how cool the Jewel is. And if you've heard of the Jewel before, that's because they've recently made international news for having the claim to fame of the largest indoor waterfall in the entire world. They call it the rain vortex. The next airport we'll say is kind of reserved for the more adventurous people. You may have heard of it. It's called Lukla, and it's in the Himalayas of Nepal, and it's actually rated as the #1 most dangerous airport in the world. But we still want to tell you about it. Why is it considered the most dangerous airport in the world? Well, because the runway slopes up at an 11% gradient, and it's only 1,700 feet long. So the pilots that are qualified to land at this airport are especially trained to do so. And I guess throughout history, sometimes it doesn't go so well. During the flight, you should not be alarmed by the constant warning from the cockpit of the airplane. I'm told that's completely normal.
Too low, terrain. Too low, terrain. Too low, terrain. Too low, terrain.
Once you've landed and you get out of the plane and you walk around and look behind you and you look at the runway, the physics of all this are not going to make a lot of sense to you, but you're there, you're safe, and you get to hike around Everest National Park. In fact, if you're going to climb Mount Everest, which kudos to you if you are, but if you're like us and you just wanted to go walk around the park and see Mount Everest, the only way to get into this section of the Himalayas to go on this adventure is to fly through this airport, through Lukla, the most dangerous airport in the world. So you're kind of obligated to have this experience. And after you've been hiking through this beautiful park and it's time to leave out of the same airport in Lukla, it's maybe a little bit more scary. I mean, watch how this plane just essentially flies right off the edge of this cliff. Last but not least is an honorable mention in Bora Bora in French Polynesia. You know, normally when you land at an airport and you need to get from the airport to wherever you're going, the city or just civilized society, there's a plane train or a bus or a shuttle or just a subway, some way to get you from the airport complex to the city, to the town where the people are. Now in Bora Bora, we were super pleasantly surprised that when we got out of the airport, they immediately put us onto a very nice ferry that took us on a 30-minute ride through the lagoon of Bora Bora, which is completely free. It's just included with your price of admission. We're flying into Bora Bora and we thought it was gorgeous. So we know travel and airports are not a big part of life right now with COVID-19, the coronavirus going around. However, once we get through this, and rest assured that we will get through this, travel is going to come back in a big way, and airports are a big part of that. So we thought since we traveled for 15 months straight, we would just show you 3 very unique airports that we saw. We can't wait to see more unique airports, and we're sure that there are lots of unique airports out there, and this is not an exhaustive list. This is just what we saw before we were forced to come home due to the coronavirus, but we're ready to get back out and see more airports. Thanks for watching. Okay, bye.